Hey y'all, happy Sunday and welcome to this week's live Q&A session. This is the portion of the show where we allow YouTube to send out notifications that we're going live. If you're watching this live Q&A on replay, please scrub ahead until this graphic disappears and the actual show begins. If you're watching live and you have any comments or questions, please go ahead and put them in the live chat. But for now, grab a beverage, sit back, and relax while the countdown timer does its thing. Then we'll get started. Hey, hi. I clicked the wrong button. I was saving a question to get to later. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope that you had a safe but fun and happy 4th yesterday. Independence Day, our 250th birthday. And for everybody overseas, hope you had a good Saturday. Things were pretty calm around here until a little bit after dark, and that's when chaos reigned. With 250 years, you can well imagine. People blew up a lot of money last night on the fireworks. It was an aerial show to witness. I'm here to tell you what. There was one of our neighbors had his drone up, and I think it became like a almost a competition to see who could take out that drone that was up there shooting the fireworks from probably about 75 feet up, maybe 100. I don't think he was any further up than that, but they got close a couple times. That's what happens. When they're too close for missiles, you got to switch over to guns. But hey, it was a lot of fun. And I think the most fun thing about it was watching the kids. As I've gotten older, I've discovered that, yeah, most of the holidays are fun for adults, but it's even more fun for kids. And it's just not the same when you don't have kids around. So I was glad to see the kids out enjoying. So anyway, Steve says, I don't look a day over 239. Yeah, well, there's multiple reasons for having a beard, and one of them is to hide that face. So, what can you say? Although I'm turning kind of monochrome here, it's getting harder to find aviator glasses with black frames, so I'm starting to match my logo less and less all the time because the mustache is kind of blended in. But anyway, we're getting way off track. Today, just kind of out of thin air, I decided to go over some things on two-sided machining because we had some questions last week. I've gotten a few other questions in our members-only WhatsApp group and in emails asking about two-sided machining. So I thought I would go over a little bit about it. I'm not going to necessarily do a deep dive and create a project from scratch, but I am going to take a single-sided project and turn it into a two-sided project to kind of show my workflow in something like that. And I'm going to do it in VCarve Pro, so there's, no time like the present. Might as well jump in and get going with it. There we go. And you can see I've got this clock face here. Don't remember where I got it. I did not draw this. I don't remember where I got it from, and so I'm hesitant to give it away, but here it is. Now, there's a few things that happen when it comes to a two-sided project. Most of these have to do with alignment and the order of operations. If you really want to get into it, there are several things that are crucial, several things that you have to remember when you're considering a two-sided project. Number one is you have to. It is crucial that you remember which way you're going to flip this project when it's time to flip over to do the bottom side. If you don't, if you get the alignment off, you have just hosed up the entire project. I mean, there's nothing that'll rescue it. And you're also going to bang your head against the wall trying to figure out why it doesn't match up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go back in here into the job setup. And we can see I've got a double-sided job. My material is 16 by 16 by 1.25 inches. My Z0 position, and this leads into a question. My Z0 position is right now currently on the material surface. Now, I say leads into the first question, and that is from Butch Miller, who says on a two-sided project, side 2 is a separate set of tool paths. Yes. Is there a methodology in Vectric where you don't have to reset Z? I know XY is set when you flip. Basically run the two sets back to back. Yes, in very specific circumstances, you can run without resetting your Z0. And that is if you are running the exact same tool. You finish up the front, what you're going to do, and then you flip it over to the back. If you are using that same tool, you don't have to reset your Z. But there's another factor in that. You also have to set your Z0 off of the machine bed. Once you have set your Z0 off of the machine bed, it knows that out here is 0. And if you are using the exact same bit, and you have already set your Z0 for that bit on the front, you can flip it over and start machining the back without having to reset Z0. If it's a different bit, you will always have to reset Z0. If you zero off of the same side, you are going to have to reset Z0. You see that red line down here setting off of the machine bed. Once you flip it over, because you're zeroing off the same side, now you have to zero to the material surface. So if you want to machine without having to reset Z0, those two things have to be done. Your Z0 position has to be the machine bed, and you have to be using the exact same bit with nothing changed. So, I'm not going to be using the exact same bit. I got a bunch of stuff going on here. I'm going to Z0 off the material surface. My XY datum for layout purposes is the material center. And my flip direction is side to side. So I'll be flipping this way or this way if you prefer. Either way, it's going to be in the same direction. Okay? So, I don't have any 3D content, so my modeling resolution is standard, and I'm going to click OK. All right. From here, we have another thing that we have to consider. We have a couple of things we have to consider. One is how to index this thing after we've flipped it. The other is, when are we going to do our cutout? And how do we make sure we get everything correct? Well, for the indexing, for the positioning, there are many ways of going about it. Some folks will go to great length to make sure that their material is perfectly square, and they'll use a fixture, even something as simple as a fence, a right angle fence, kind of like a square. And they'll put the bottom left corner up against that. That way they know they can index it. If they do it that way, they have to make sure, A, that your top and bottom vectors are perfectly in the center of that material. Then they have to make sure that this piece is perfectly square. So, the easier way, and the way that I take care of it, is I don't bother with a fixture. I don't bother with any kind of a square or anything else out here. I use the dowel method. The I drill dowel holes in the surface of the material, at least 3 that are asymmetrical. Don't make them symmetrical. You can easily get something turned around and it will fit. But if they're asymmetrical, they're kind of Murphy proof. They will only go one way. Also, do not drill all the way through. A lot of people drill all the way through. There's no need for that. A lot of it depends on what you're doing. Maybe you have a purpose in drilling all the way through. I have found there isn't a need for it. Okay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to draw those index holes. And I'm going to create a circle that is going to be 1/4 inch in diameter. And I'm just going to put one here. I'm going to put one down here. And I'm going to put one down. Those are supposed to be 0.25. Z. 0.25. There. Now we'll go up here about like so. About like so. And about like so. Now, again, these are index points. They are not there to hold the material down. This is different from however you're securing your material to the spoil board. So, they're just to index off of. Now, I'm going to need another set of these holes that I'm going to drill in my spoil board. So, I'm going to select them after I've created them. Then I'm going to right click on any one of them, it doesn't matter which. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to copy to the other side. Okay? Now that I'm ready to, now that I've got these on the front side, I'm going to go over and flip it and I'm going to check the bottom side and I see that they're there. All right, that's cool. Now, these are not going to be drilled on the back side of the project. They're going to be drilled into the spoil board. Now, a little word about that. As you can see, well, through the mess, if you look right there and right there, you'll see that I have T-track in my spoil board. I do not drill the holes in my spoil board. I have a piece of plywood. I'll mount it to the spoil board, screw it down, nice and flat, and then I will drill my index holes in that piece of plywood. It's a sacrificial spare spoil board. Then when I'm finished with the project, after everything's taken off, I can go ahead and dismount that and put it off to the side and save it for the next project. I just circle them in red, knowing that they've been used. Don't use these holes. These are not the holes you're looking for. Anyhow, so now we know we have the index holes on the back side of the project, on the bottom of the project. Okay, let's flip back over to the front for a couple of minutes. Now we have to think about order of operations and further alignment. Okay? The order of operations, we need to make absolutely certain we have the design for the front, for the top side, finished. Nothing is going to change. It's not going to move. I'm not going to be adding anything else. We've got it done to our satisfaction. Then I'm going to start thinking about order of operations. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to use this center hole, which for this clock face, that's for the shank of the clock movement. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy that to the other side. Copy to other side. And that's just for me while I'm designing the back side. I have a frame of reference on where that shank hole is going to be, because I have to make a recess in the back of this clock for the movement. So knowing where that is, I can now line it up and make it correct. So come back over to the front. Now, all right, I got a question here from Joe Kelly. Do you surface the sacrificial spoil board each time? No. Again, I use a piece of plywood. If it looks like it needs it, I'll just get rid of that piece of plywood and grab another piece, or a piece of MDF, or whatever's handy. When it becomes so full of holes that it's getting confusing, I just chuck it and get another piece of whatever I have handy, plywood or MDF, one or the other. So I know that surface is nice and flat. You know, relatively speaking, it may be a few thousandths off here and there, but that's not really going to matter in the long run, because this is woodworking and wood moves. I don't need 4-digit resolution for something like this. Half the time, 2-digit resolution is just fine. So, so I've got this center hole here as my reference point for when I create the recess for the movement. Now I got to start thinking about order of operations. I'm going to carve all of this, V-carve all of this, but this outside vector here, that's my cutout. I'm going to cut out around this vector. So now I got to think about that. I don't want to cut out on the top surface when I still have more machining to do on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm also going to copy this to the other side, and my profile toolpath for the final cutout will be done on the bottom. Now, this opens up something else. There is something to be concerned with, and that is chip out on the top surface. It would be very, very easy to go ahead and just do the entire profile cutout from the back side, but you're probably going to end up with some chip out here. So you might consider doing a profile toolpath here that's going to cut maybe 1/4 inch deep. Then you can use a down cut bit on the back. Or you can use down cut bit on the front as well, but you can use down cut bit on the back as well and have nice clean sides. Remember, a down cut bit cuts down, so the surface, the top surface, is going to be nice and relatively chip out free. But the bottom surface is going to get blown out because it's pushing those, I'm using my hands like you can see me, because it's pushing those chips, and the cutting edges are slicing those wood fibers downward. So your best bet is to go ahead and do just 1/4 inch deep. So I am going to use this to create a profile toolpath, but I'm only going to cut 1/4 inch deep. But I have to have it on the back because that's my profile cutout that I'm going to be doing. So back over to the top. Now I've got my design finished. This is what I'm going to do, with the exception of the back. So my front face is finished. Everything is cool. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to toolpath it. So there was already a toolpath made for this because it was a single-sided job when I first got into this. Well, now it's a two-sided job. So I've got to have to change it a little bit. The first thing I need to do is I need to select my index holes And I'm going to use a drilling toolpath. Now I'm using a 1/4 inch bit, and I'm going to drill straight down. So it's got to be an upcut bit. I don't care if I get chip out here, because that's going to go away. So I'll use the drilling toolpath with an upcut 1/4 inch end mill. Now I'm going to make my cut depth for drilling. I'm going to make it 5/8 of an inch deep, 625. Okay. And I don't have a solid carbide 1/4 inch drill. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch upcut end mill. I'll apply that. Select it. And I'm not going to use peck drilling. It can go 5/8 of an inch without peck drilling. I do not want to dwell at the bottom of the drill pass. And we'll call that drill 1. That's fine. No, it's not. I need to differentiate this. This is dowel holes in material. And we'll calculate. All right. I don't know if I need to preview this. It's a dowel hole. Uncheck the pocket. I don't need that. But that needs to be the first thing I do. So now I'm going to bump that up to the top of the list. Just by using this. Select it and then use these arrows over here. Then I can come along and I can, because I'm using the same bit, I can do the pocket, which is for the shaft hole. And let's see, V-carve, that's going to be just fine. Now I'm going to go back to the 2D view. I'm going to select this one. I'm going to close my preview. And I'm going to do a profile toolpath. And my cut depth, I'm going to cut 1/4 inch, 0.25. I'm going to use downcut 1/4 inch end mill, 0.25 inch. Select. And I'm going to cut to the outside of that vector. I don't need to do a separate last pass. Yeah, I probably should. I'm going to go ahead and do a separate last pass with an allowance of 0.01. What a separate last pass does is the first, I'm doing 2 passes. The first pass will be cut 0.01 outside of that vector. Then the next pass is going to cut right on the vector. What this will do is it'll eliminate those plunge dwell marks along the edge, especially when I add ramps. And we're going to do a distance of 1 inch. And we're going to do a smooth ramp, a distance of 1 inch, meaning it's going to slowly ramp in and cut 0.01 away to the outside of this vector. Then on the second pass around, it's going to ramp down and cut right on the vector. That eliminates the little witness marks, the little layer lines you get from each pass, because that's going to cut full depth in one pass. Okay, but it's only taking 0.01 of material off. Okay, and we'll call that just profile is good. We'll calculate. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to preview all of the tool paths on the top side. The index holes, the V carving, the pocket, and then that little bit of a cutout right there. Not a complete cutout all the way through the material. Okay, so I'm going to leave that like that. I think we're looking good so far. Now we'll close it. I'm going to come back over to the Design tab, jump into the 2D view. Now we're going to go to the bottom. I can tell you with certainty that when you go to make a clock, your best move, the best decision you can make about the design, is you wait until you have that clock movement in your hands before you design the recess for the movement. And because you never know, you don't really know how deep you're going to have to make that pocket for the movement until you have that clock face in hand. Clock faces have varying thickness, clock movements have varying thicknesses. They have varying shaft lengths. You have some choice in that. You can get some that have longer shafts than others, but it's always the best bet to have that clock face in your hands before you start designing the pocket for it. And this is another little thing for me personally. When I make clocks, I use Seiko movements. You can find them in various places. I'll look for some Seiko movements and post a few links to them. They're a little bit more expensive, but not by much. You know, $10 to $20 depending upon what you're looking for. But I find that when I'm either selling or giving a gift that has my name on it, I don't want it to be a piece of junk. So I'm willing to invest a little bit more money in a quality movement that isn't going to suddenly start making the minute hand spin like a fan or something like that, you know, or just simply stop working. Clock movements come in all kinds of shapes and descriptions, but Seiko is a good quality name, so I'm going to go with the quality Seiko movement. That's just my 2 cents. It has my name on it. I want it to reflect quality. I don't want to give somebody or sell somebody a piece of junk. So, the movement I have, let's go ahead and figure this out. The movement I have is 3 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. So I'm going to come up here to my draw rectangle. And I want this to be drawn on my 0 point. My X0, Y0. Because again, I've got my XY datum position at the center. Now, I prefer to radius the corners. I'm not going to get an exact radius off of this clock movement, but I can get close. I'm just going to radius those corners to 0.25, and that'll give me a decent radius on the corners of this rectangle without it being overdone. You know, the movement will fit, so I'm not really concerned about it. Now, the movement, as I said, is 3 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. But I'm not going to make it the same size as a movement because you can't put you can't put a 3 inch by 3.5 inch square into a 3 inch by 3.5 inch hole. It doesn't fit. You got to have some tolerance there. So I'm going to give it 1/8 of an inch on each side, which means a total of 1/4 inch. So I'm going to go with its width. I'm going to go with 3.75. And the height is 3 inches. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go with 3.25. So it's a little bit bigger than the movement. That gives me some leeway. And I want it on my XY0, create, and there it is. So that's where my clock movement is going to go. Now I got to figure out the depth, because this is going to be the second thing cut on this side. We'll go over here and we're going to start tool pathing. I don't have any tool paths for the bottom yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill these index holes, because without these index holes, the whole project could be just shot. And I'm going to do a drilling tool path again. And it remembers everything that I put in when I worked on the other side. I'm using a cut depth of 5/8 of an inch. And here's why. I use 1 inch long pieces of hardwood dowel. Now, a lot of folks will say, wait a minute, why don't you use a precision ground steel dowel? Number one, I don't want to run into it with a bit. But these hardwood dowels are very rarely a 1/4 inch diameter. Yes, they're about anywhere from 0.23 to 0.24. Well, that's a lot of slop. With one, yes. With three, no. I've never, not once, I've never had a two-sided project fail because of using the hardwood dowels. Not once. One dowel, yes, you're introducing some wiggle room there. Two dowels, it's less. With three dowels, it's almost non-existent. In fact, it pretty much is non-existent. Again, I've never had one fail. I've never had one come out misaligned. So I use the cheap wooden dowel that I can get for 50 cents down at Lowe's or Home Depot and get a bunch of 1 inch long dowels. So I'm using 1 inch long dowels and I'm drilling 5/8 inch on each side. That gives me a little bit of wiggle room there as well. It's not going to stand up too tall, and it's not going to stand up, it's not going to, disappear down into the hole. Again, I'm not going to change anything except the title. And this is dowel. Did I spell that right? Yes. Holes. Caps lock. In spoil board. Caps lock off. I need that. I need that because I will not remember. Because I may calculate this and then not cut it for another 2 months while I'm finding the right material to cut it out of. So we'll calculate that. That's our first tool path for the bottom side. All right, now next, I'm going to, let's go into 2D view. I'm going to cut this pocket. Now, this particular movement is just slightly under 3/4 of an inch thick. And the shaft for the hands that's got to go through this hole, the shaft is 3/4 of an inch long. So I've got 3/4 and 3/4, that's 1.5 inches. My material is only 1.25 inches deep. So I can't bury this movement in the back of my material. Well, how the heck am I going to hang it? Well, that's simple. The Seiko movement I have has a hanger built into the back. It has a keyhole in the back of the movement itself. Some of them have a little tab, and that's going to determine how deep you can bury it in. If the tab sticks up over the movement itself, that's also going to dictate how deep you can put that movement. So with all that said, what I need to do for the depth of this movement, I need to think about that shaft length. I want that shaft to come out of the front of my material by about a half an inch. So I need that shaft to come out a half an inch. So we subtract a half an inch from an inch and a quarter, and we end up with, they said there'd be no math. Well, let me bring up the calculator here, and I'll do it for you. Right here live, admitting I should have never written in that book that math sucks. 1.25 minus 0.5 equals 3/4 of an inch. So that's how deep I'm going to make this pocket. 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to cut this pocket 0.75, and I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. It's going to make 6 passes. That's fine. I'm going to use an offset, mainly because nobody is ever going to see this. I don't care if it leaves circular marks down on the bottom of this pocket. I'm going to go ahead and ramp in the plunge moves over a distance of an inch, which is fine for that 1/4 inch bit. And I'm just going to call this pocket, and we'll calculate. Okay, we've got those two. Now, turn on my vectors. Now is when I need to do my profile cutout. Oh, I'm in the preview. Close. There we go. All right. Now it'll let me select the vector. And again, using a down cut end mill, I'm going to go the whole depth. So we're going to go 1.25. Excuse me. Going to take 10 passes. That's fine. I am going to do a separate last pass at 0.01. Oops. Come on, Mark. 0.01. Not going to add any paths to the tool, tabs to the tool path, but let's say I wanted to add them. Now, got to remember, I've already cut a 1/4 inch into the front. So if I add tabs now and they're less than a 1/4 of an inch, they're a 1/4 of an inch tall, I've got some problems. So I'm going to make them, yeah, a 1/4 inch long is fine. I'm going to make them a 1/2 inch thick. 0.5. And the reason for that is if I machine away a 1/4 of an inch here, when it comes to these tabs, I'll still have a 1/4 inch of tab left. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and ramp in a smooth ramp over a distance of 1 inch, which works good for the for a profile on a 1/4 inch roundover, or 1/4 inch end mill. Roundover, where'd that come from? And I'm going to call this cutout. Oh, I got to edit the tabs. I got to place my tabs. We'll put one. Where should we put one? I'll put one right here. And I'll put one over here. Another here and another up here. They're kind of asymmetrical, but I'm worried more about how I'm going to mount this material. If I've got screw holes out here, I don't want the tabs interfering with them. Okay. So I can close that, and now I can calculate the tool path. And I'll preview all the tool paths on this side. There's my index holes, which will actually be cut in the spoil board. There's the pocket for my movement. Yep, the tabs got cut through. I got to make them thicker. I got to make those tabs thicker. Okay. So we're going to undo last. And I'm going to take that cutout, and I'm going to make the thickness of those tabs, we'll go for 3/4 of an inch. All right. Now we'll calculate it. Now we'll preview. Okay, now I see the tabs. There we go. Now we'll preview all toolpath. In fact, I'm going to preview all sides. There we go. Starting with bottom. And there is my tabs. That's already done, so that's not a big deal. Tabs are still not good enough. Oh, they're 3D tabs. There's your problem. How thick did I go here? Oh, we went 1/4 of an inch deep. Oh, I'm -1 inch. How did that end up being 1 inch? No, I'm at -1. Okay. Yeah, all right. We're going to undo last again. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. I'm going to undo last. Okay, wait a minute. We'll reset preview. Thank you. Cut out. Looks like I'm making them 1 inch thick. Oh, no. Oh, I'll leave it alone. Turn off 3D tabs. There we go. Come on, Mark. There's a little bit of back and forth in all of this. Now we'll preview all sides. And it's going to do the back first, of course. Joe Kelly says, I like that idea. Never thought of doing tabs so thick to pass the first cut on the face side. Yeah. And nice feature would be if you could set tab location in the middle of the material on a two-sided project. Yeah, if you're gonna use that method of cutting both sides, cutting a little bit of a profile on both sides, but now you can see with the standard tabs, they held. They're not 3D tabs. So, and I can do that one day. I can get into the advantage of 3D tabs versus standard tabs like this another day. Hello, there we go. So I've got my pocket cut out. I've got my profile cut out. And both sides looking good, ready to go. The crucial part, and this is the part that people find hardest to wrap their heads around, is these indexing holes. While they look like it shouldn't work because we're on opposite sides here, then it looks like they should not line up. They will line up. They do line up. Make them asymmetrical so they'll only line up and index one way. There are a couple of things to pay attention to when you do a two-sided project, especially if you've never done one before. I would encourage you to get some scrap wood. And just practice. Come up with something. Cut a rectangle out and then cut a pocket out of the back. Or vice versa. Cut a pocket in the front, flip it over, and cut the thing out. For scrap wood, I found my best source is I get on Craigslist and go to the free section. Yes, I'm one of like 11 people that still uses Craigslist and not Facebook Marketplace. I go to Craigslist and I go in the free section. And this is especially true late Sunday and on Mondays. You would be amazed at the wood that people are getting rid of. They just, a garage sale leftovers, or somebody had a section of fence blow down, or something like that. Extra construction materials. It doesn't matter. But the common thing in all of these things on the free section is they're headed for the landfill or the transfer station. I have a philosophical problem with paying money that I'm just going to, for a material I'm just going to cut up and probably mess up the first 2 or 3 times. I don't have a philosophical problem with doing that with waste wood that is headed for the landfill. If I can keep more of it out of that landfill, even if it's just, like I said, an old fence board, I don't have a philosophical problem with doing that. It's not in the landfill now, yet, and the price was right. It's free, you know. Butch Miller says, no such thing as scrap wood, only wood that hasn't been purposed. Yes, and learning how to do a particular technique or method, that has a purpose, that has value. But the same way you wouldn't learn how to drive in a AA fuel dragster, you don't want to learn how to do a two-sided project on a $200 piece of wood, especially if it's something that's not replaceable. So I have scrap, I don't have space, so fire pit. See, you're throwing away cutting boards. You're burning cutting boards. All that's missing is the glue. And you know that from me. You've watched me make cutting boards out of scrap wood. So, good grief. I've got a bunch of ebony piano keys that are going to end up in a project here. I'm that cheap. So, anyhow, the point I'm trying to make here is practice it on some scrap. Get yourself a piece of plywood that you can mount on your table, and you can screw a piece of material down to. And as I said, just cut a pocket on the front side, flip it over, and cut it out on the back side. I'll give you one fair warning, however. Once you have that light bulb moment and you go, oh yeah, now I get it. Fair warning, two-sided projects become addictive. I looked for excuses to do two-sided projects. Let's go back into the software here. I'm going to bring up a new session. Oh, I've got a new session open here. Anybody can get into their clip art and make themselves a dish. We've got a little bowl shape here. Whoops, I messed that up. I forgot to hold down shift, but that's all right. Center it back in the center of my material. Select it. I'll go into the component tree. I'm going to change combine mode to subtract. Okay. That way, when I look in the 3D view, I've got a dish. All right. I'm going to put a zero plane over the top of that to fill in the jagged edges of that dish. And that's going to, what in the world? It's cutting through the material. Oh, well, 0.75, 12 by 12. Okay, that's fine. And this is a double-sided job. Click OK. And I'm going to go back over to my component tree. And I'm going to look at my flat round circle. I'm going to go to the properties. And I see it's 0.3449 shape height. I'm going to go a little bit further than that. I'm going to go 625. No, I'm not. I'm just going to go 0.5. Let's play it safe for this demonstration. All right. We'll close that. And we'll go back into the design tab, back into the 2D view. Got my component selected. I'm going to draw a vector around that component. Then I want to offset it. And I want to offset it. How thick do I want the rim? No, come on. Let me select the vector. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. How thick do I want the rim to be? Let's go for a thick rim. And we'll go with, no, not so thick. Let's go with a 1/4 inch diameter rim. Okay. And I'm going to offset it, and I'm going to select the new one. All right. Now, I'm going to copy this to the other side. And I'm going to copy this to the other side. This is my profile cutout, remember. Now, I'm going to flip to the other side. And go back into clip art. And I'm going to set the same round dish. And we'll go hold down Shift, bring it out to where it's the same size as the outside, roughly. Select it and make sure it is centered. All right. Check my 3D view. What have I got going on? Let me look at my component. We got it set to merge. Let's look for, properties. I want my shape height to be, that one's a 1/2 inch. My material's 3/4 inch thick. I want a 1/4 inch thick bottom. Ooh, that's not going to work. I'm going to end up with a, let's go with 625. This is going to be the top, so I want this to be 0.25. 0.25. Oops, too many decimals. Let's see what we get now. Am I going to have to go thinner? I say 0.25. I'm going to have to go thinner than that. That means I'm going to have to make, all right, let's go back over to the top side. And we're going to take that. Let's go with 375. Still didn't fill it in. It's still cutting all the way through. I don't get that. We're looking at the bottom. No, we're not looking at the bottom. We're looking at the top. There we go. All right, flip it. Now we're looking at the bottom. There we are. All right. Properties. I'm playing now. That's why it's silent. And there we go. I was going too shallow, not deep enough. There we go. So that's going to be the same thickness. There we are. My point with all of this, now that I finally got it figured out, let me go in here to material setup. And thickness is 3/4 inch, Z0s to the bottom. And we're good. We got a model thickness 0.75. And the model plane Z. Okay, great. So we're all right there. Now, my point in all of this, as I was trying to say earlier, anybody can come up with a bowl and then do a profile cutout that has the outside straight up and down sides. Okay? No. I dish on top and dome on the bottom is what I'm doing. Okay? I need to flip it back, so we're looking at the top first. And I'm going to go about this all wrong. There's no index pins, nothing, no indexing dowels. And I'm going to go ahead and do a finishing tool path. I don't need an 1/8 inch tapered ball nose for that. I'm going to get aggressive. I'm going to use my 1/2 inch ball nose. There we go. Select. I'm going to use this selected vector here. And I'm hesitant to do offset. I'll go ahead and do raster. Raster angle of 45 degrees. And we'll just calculate that finishing tool path. I have a couple of questions hiding in reserve, and I will get to them. I have not forgotten about you, Stubbs Mom. And we'll preview that tool path. Oh, I didn't do the clear pass. Hello. Preview that tool path. That's a little bit better. Sheesh. Now, I'm not going to talk about step over. I'm not going to talk about cleaning up. I'm not going to talk about using a bowl bit or anything like that. We're just doing a quick and dirty reveal here to show what a two-sided project can look like and how you can make yours stand out from the crowd. Again, anybody, anytime can carve a dish in one side of a piece of wood and say that's good enough. Now, there are times where you may want to leave the material alone and decide that's good enough. If you've got a nice slab that's, like this one, 12 by 12, roughly, then yes, it's perfectly okay to go ahead and leave the sides as they are. But if you're going to be cutting this out, even just to use as a candy dish, you'll want to make it a little bit more special. Well, now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to turn on the vector so I can see, close, and we're going to select this vector as our boundary. Not going to worry about a 1/8 inch tapered ball nose, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm just going to machine this whole thing, hog it all out with a 1/2 inch bit. And I'm going to use a raster and calculate. And we're going to, okay, there's only one vector. We'll preview, or one toolpath. We'll preview it. There we are with the bottom. But now I have to do, well, that didn't go nearly deep enough. That needs to go further, because that needs to go all the way through. What is my depth down here? It's not very deep. Undo last. Let's get back over here into the component tree and the properties. 3/4 inch. Why didn't it cut all the way through? Well, let's close this. Take a look at material setup. And we're fine. Why didn't it go all the way through? Ah, look at where it's placed. I'm just playing again. Nope, that's going to jump through. Okay. Hello? Where'd you go? Okay. 0.75. Am I looking at the bottom? I'm looking at the bottom. It disappeared on me again. I've got it set to merge. Maybe set it to add. No, that don't help. Set it to merge. Why did it go away? Try 1 inch. That should have cut all the way through. Hello, where are you? Well, anyway. I'm trying anything and everything to get it back. This ain't working. Huh. Don't know where it went to. Let's go into here. And we're going to reset the preview. See if I've got something in there going. Nope. It just wants to cut the whole thing out. Well, that ain't right. There it is on the 2D view. Under the component tree, we've got it set for merge positive. Let's go into the other side, flip. And wait a minute here. That's set for subtract. How did that go? How did that go to subtract? Component, merge. That should not be subtract. Let me change that to subtract. Now I got it back. Somehow I got it back when I set it to subtract. That ain't right. What an oddball. Okay, let's get into the properties again and see why it's not cutting all the way through. Let's try a little bit deeper carve. Go with a deeper shape height, 1.0. But it's going to be thicker than the material now. That ain't going to make it cut any thicker. Let's go 0.75. 0.75. And let's give it a base height of negative 0.75. Nope. Go with the base height of 0.75. Positive. Nope. Base height of 0.5. Nope. Let's get rid of the base height altogether. Okay, I've got that back, but now I need to move that further down in the model. Let's take a look down here. How deep are we? We're at negative 0.5. Oops. What's the max depth that cuts? 0.1815. That ain't right. Now that I've played around with it so much. Let's recalculate the tool path and see what I get here. Boundary offset 0.5, same as the diameter of the bit. Let's calculate. Let's back out, preview all sides, see what we get here, because that should cut all the way through. But it's not. Jim Brown's asking, does the zero plane have something to do with it? It may very well, but it shouldn't, because it's got a thickness of 0. Okay, now we're carving the other side. It's got a thickness of 0 and it sits on the top surface. And we'll see what we have here when we're done. And again, I haven't forgotten you, Stebbs' mom. I've not forgotten you at all. You have a very good question, and I will get to you. The other one that I have, that may take a while, from John Pellerin. I may or may not have time for it this session. We'll see. Come on. You can move faster than that. I know you can. All these marks in here are due to the step over on my 1/2-inch bit. If I was doing this for real, I would use a bowl and tray bit, and that would take care of all those marks. But hey. And then it'll go around and do its profile pass to do the final cleanup. Unless I have that turned off, I don't remember. And there we go. And nope, it's not cutting. Well, yes, it is kind of sort of cutting through. It is kind of sort of cutting through. Now is when you would do a, there we go. That's what I was after. Now let's flip it over. Yes, it is cutting through more or less. Okay, turn on the vectors. And we'll flip it over. Turn on the vector. Nope, turn on the vectors. Come on, straight down. And this is when I would... I don't know. I would probably offset this vector outward, or maybe even cut the bottom first. Add some 3D tabs to keep it from going, breaking loose. And I would offset this vector out and make that my profile cut. But anyhows, having this carved in a and then using this as a profile cutout, that's one thing. But when you can shape the bottom as well, that sets your work apart from other people and other projects. And there are various ways of shaping this bottom. Oh, okay. John says he figured out his issue. Okay, terrific. Thank you anyway. All right. Okay. Okay. So I won't address it. Okay. So my whole point in this is two-sided projects, once you get them figured out and you're not having problems with 3D models, once you get that light bulb moment and it makes sense to you, again, they become very addictive. I'm thinking the step over and the ball nose bit are not cutting through on material apart from the tip of the ball nose. That's exactly it, Joe. That's exactly it. So, and that's okay because it's leaving such a fine little piece in there that it is cutting through. It just is not quite, because it is a ball nose. And that leaves you with a little bit to sand off, but it's not a problem. I've done several. I don't think I have any pictures on this computer. Maybe I do. Let me look here. I don't remember if I don't think I have pictures. Yes, I do. I have one picture. Okay. And let's do that. These are a couple of my first two-sided projects, and these were little candy dishes that I ended up giving to my daughters. We were going to my oldest daughter's house for Christmas, and thought, well, we're bringing fudge, and what's the best way to serve fudge? In a nice little candy dish. So I machined these two out of some walnut that I had. A little snowflake in this one and a Christmas tree in this one. And in fact, this piece of clip art here was from Vectric used to do the 12 Days of Christmas, where they would give away one Christmas themed piece of clip art for 12 days, every day for 12 days. And they no longer do that. They have another thing that they run through the Vectric portal. And I made this one myself. I designed it and created it in the hexagon shape that you see. And then this was using that clip art and then offsetting vectors outwards. And took them to my daughter's house, my oldest daughter's house, and put them down on the table, took the plastic wrap off and says, I am not taking these candy dishes home. Looked at both of my daughters and said, you can thumb wrestle over who takes what. And my oldest daughter immediately dove on that one, which was a good thing because my youngest daughter dove on this one. So it wasn't much of a thumb wrestle, and I was happy. So, oh, hey, what do you know? There's those piano keys. So you can see what I'm saying. There ain't no such thing as scrap in this house. So anyhow, yeah, just once you start doing two-sided projects, they become very addictive. And like I said, I looked for reasons to do two-sided projects. So, and that the candy dishes were just a simple round over on the back. That's all. But it worked. And unfortunately, I don't have any pictures of the bottom. Okay. Miss Carrie, Stubbs' mom says, maybe a dumb question. No such thing. But when wrapping your dust collection hose with copper wire, what do you do with the ends of the wire? What do you connect it to? Okay. It's important that one end of that ground wire is not really connected to anything. What I did was I took a very small screw, machine screw with a nut. And again, we're not building the bridge here, so it doesn't have to be super strong, okay? And on the end of the braided wire that I used, 20 gauge braided wire with no insulation, just bare copper. At this end of the hose, I just poked a hole in the vinyl. And on the end of that wire, I crimped a ring terminal. And hooked that wire, put that wire over that hole I just poked in the vinyl, stick the machine screw through the vinyl, then the ring terminal's on the outside, and put the nut on there. pair of pliers, and the screwdriver to tighten up that machine screw. And that's on this end of the hose. It's important that this end of the hose not be connected to metal. Okay? Then I ran it through mine is on the inside of the hose. Yours is on the outside, that's fine. And mine ran through, turned on the vacuum and let it suck itself, the end of the wire into the cyclone collector. I have a dust deputy. That is my dust collection pipe, runs down and goes into a dust deputy in the lean-to. It's in another building. So there's a small piece of hose that comes out of there and into the other building, and that connects to the dust deputy. The other end of the wire ended up in the dust deputy. Take it off, get it out of the barrel. And I ran it up, and I connected the other end to the ground on the motor of the dust collector. Very simple. And that was just a little spade terminal. I unplugged the ground off of the motor and connected it together, and then connected it to the ground on the motor of the dust collector itself. The ground wire that you're running through the dust collector hose, either outside or inside, doesn't matter which, it's not there to carry voltage. A lot of people will say, drive a stake 8 foot into the ground and connect it to that. You can do that. If you have real rocky soil like me, where driving an 8 foot stake into the ground requires equipment I don't have. You can also dig a trench. It's got to be a certain depth, and it should be 8 to 10 feet long. You can also dig a trench and hook your ground wire to that if you want to go that far. I hooked mine, again, to the ground on the motor of the dust collector itself. I figure if it's good enough for that motor, it's good enough for my dust collector. This wire is not going to carry voltage. It's there to dissipate static as it builds. So it's not like it's going to build up static and then zap something. As that static is created, it dissipates. It goes away. It flows down that wire. It is not going to get a sudden spike of static electricity because that static won't form. That's the whole point of it. I have never had an issue. This particular dust collector is only 4 years old, and not a problem. Or on my other dust collector, which was run off of my shop vac, I connected it to the ground on the motor to the shop vac. And I ran that for close to 10 years. No, 8 years. Yeah, well, so close to 10 years. 8 is close to 10. Huh? Anyway. And the only reason I'm not using that shop vac anymore is the bearings burn out, which I'm convinced it didn't have bearings. It had plastic bushings, but that's neither here nor there. But that had nothing to do with that ground wire. So that's all I did. Now, various people have different opinions. Some will say run it to the same ground as your shop is grounded. Your shop should be grounded. It should have a ground. Some people say run it to the same one. Other people say no, run it to another one, and to a separate ground. I don't have an opinion on that. You do you. But it's important to remember that this end up here by the dust collector is not connected to anything metal. So okay. Well, we've gone about an hour and a half, so that was just in time. That was just right. Um, Channel members, tomorrow is a special day. Tomorrow is the final episode of, can you believe it? 4 years of channel memberships. And some of you have been channel members from the very beginning. I'm looking at you, Sargon, and I'm looking at you, Steve, and a few others. You've been with me from the very beginning. And this Monday, tomorrow, who am I kidding? I'm putting together a little presentation of the project pictures that you have sent me over the last 12 months. Not going to be like last year. I'm going to put these into a slideshow on a video and showcase some of the project pictures you have sent me over the past year. And it's been a ride. I'm here to tell you what, it's been a ride. So next week, we will be starting 5 years of channel memberships. And it's been an absolute ball. And 100% my pleasure. I've been blessed to know each and every one of y'all. So that's tomorrow. Because yesterday was Independence Day, 4th of July, I did not do a live BS session Zoom call type of a deal. We'll do that tonight. Tonight at 5-ish Pacific time, 8-ish Eastern time. And, well, it's just a Zoom call. It's not broadcast anywhere. It's not recorded. It's just a bunch of people with a glass of iced tea hanging over the virtual back fence, having a chat. We talk about life, the universe, and everything. What's going on with your dogs, with your cats, barbecue, what you did for 4th of July, fishing boats, whatever. You know, we're there for it. And it's just a bunch of people getting together and hanging out and yakking. I will be creating that Zoom call, like I said, roughly 5-ish Pacific, 8-ish Eastern. And it goes till everybody runs out of gas. Then I shut it down for the week. I will be posting that link after I create the call. And so look for that link. If you have your email notifications turned on, you'll get a link. If you don't, check the posts tab on my YouTube channel, and you'll find that link there. As long as that link is there, we are there. So, yeah, that'll do it for this week. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, put them down in the chat. Put them down in the comment section. Now, Steve already posted a link when we very first started, and I am going to put a link to my two-sided project playlist in a pinned comment. As soon as we're finished live, it won't let me do it before, and it won't let me do it while we're live. But as soon as I shut down here, I will put a link to that playlist in the comment section. I'll put it in a pinned comment so it'll stay up at the top. So, that's all for this week. I don't know what I'm going to do next Sunday. If you have a topic idea, I'm still researching a couple. I'm still working on a couple. If you have an idea for a guest you would like to see, let me know. And we'll try to make it happen. I've got a couple of guests that I've reached out to, or potential guests I've reached out to. I'm waiting on them to get back to me. But I will also look for some Seiko movements. Let me write that down. But you can also do a Google search on them yourself. Excuse me. But I will try to find a link to the movement I used. So there's Steve is Johnny on the spot again. There's a two-sided project playlist. Again, I will link it down in a pinned comment as soon as we're finished here. And I will try to find some links to Seiko movements. So, other than that, as Butch says, stay safe, stay cool. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. I greatly appreciate it. And y'all take care. Have a great rest of your weekend.